Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Johnson, and I'm reading from my book. I know where I've been, I'm just not sure where I'm going. And I'm reading the part called Another Day Visiting Universal. Need my glasses. Nature's wonderful. Didn't even know we were going to wear glasses. Look where she put our ears. I took a group of students to Universal Studios. I love the theme parks, which is one of the major reasons I signed to come to Florida. Other reason, of course, was the weather, which hasn't always been as great as I thought it would be. But I must admit, having visited the parks year after year, I've come to know them like the back of my hand. The same old stuff, after a while, gets a bit boring. That is, until I met Robbie at Universal Studios. It was the middle of the day. I chaperoned the high school students who had come with me on the trip for most of the morning, and it was time to let them out of their own for a while and let them explore the grounds for themselves. No reason to have to follow this old man all day anyway, so I laid down some ground rules, made an appointment, time and place to meet towards the end of the day, made sure everybody had my cell phone number in case there were any problems, God forbid. And when it comes to teenagers, that's about the only being capable of forbidding teenage problems. And then with a little silent prayer on their behalf, I sent them out to enjoy. And after enjoying the animal show, I personally took the natural route and headed to ride the bike with E.T. in Orlando. You probably don't need much guidance in regards to enjoying the park, even if you've never been there before. Usually all you need to do is walk the pathways, and with the summer extended hours, the park is open until 10 p.m., you have plenty of time to ride a second ride, or your favorite one, if you can handle it. Terminator is my favorite, but I can only handle one dose of that experience in a day. Same is true with the movies. All you need is patience to handle the wait in the lines, and eventually they move much faster than is posted at the gates. A couple of my most important students were always verbally discouraged when they saw the long time the wall took, but always managed to get through it until found that the time wasn't nearly as bad as publicized. So take your time, forget the outside world, and enjoy if you go to the Universal Studios. The only other tip you need is to grab a lemon slush as you get into the line at Earthquake, which helps the time go by, and take time to grab a comfortable and relaxing lunch. I just remembered Earthquake isn't there anymore. My favorite is the Irish pub, but the international cuisine following the Back to the Future ride, which is not there anymore either, was pretty good too. This weekend, having been left by myself to complete the park, I got in line to help E.T. return home and lost myself in the thoughts of my worldview, of people you seldom think about, and of mind lessons for a while. And I began to realize that the frequency of the parks had made me a little bored until I met Robbie. You don't realize the relevance of the saying, one is the loneliest number, until they ask you as you embark to go on the ride, how many please? And you have to hold your hands up and say, just one. I'm not real happy with all the reactions. Some of the gatekeepers look at you with pity. Some even had an, oh, I'm so sorry. Some snicker. And they think maybe you lifted the wrong finger, but I boldly stepped up and headed towards my flying bike. Before me was a young family of 5, although I could tell the husband was aging rapidly, and who can blame him? They placed Mom and 2 of the kids in front, and the father and his child and me into the second row of the bikes. Dad placed the young boy next to me, and we were about ready to help E.T. get home. Actually, I hadn't paid a lot of attention to the family. I was ready for the ride after waiting a reasonable time in line, and I started to take in the makeshift scenery of stars and woods about which we were going to fly over. But one of the attendants, in making certain that we were strapped in properly for the side stop, and said, "Look at this young guy's eyes next to you." I turned, and he was right. The young boy's eyes were almost as wide as the head on his shoulders. Everything was new. Everything was bright. Everything, the smell, the darkness, the movement of the bikes, the people boarding the ride, all were exciting to him, and were becoming exciting to me again, too. I remembered when I felt like that when I first saw it. And then he could freely look around and behold what seemed to be new, bright world, whatever the ride was, wherever we were going. It was captivating to this little guy because it was the first time he'd been there. And all of a sudden, I remembered what it was like when I first went to Universal Studios. Whoever this E.T. was, his introduction to this little fellow sitting next to me would produce a long life friend in his mind. And he was taking it all in, smiling, wondering, and loving every minute of it. About 5 years old, I estimated he was. The bike took off into the sky, began its journey, first around woods and law enforcement, and then into the sky, and of course, finally saving E.T.'s planet with his magical touch. But the real magic was in the eyes of the boy, and I could not take my own look off of the wonderment on his face, the mouth wide open and barely smiling while the ride took its high over the manufactured cities and the moon itself. What it was, what it meant, didn't matter. To that boy, it was wonderful. "What's his name?" I asked the father. The father could barely hear me over the noise of the ride and the musical background. "Robbie," he said. "How old is he?" I asked. I continued to interrupt the ride, but out of propriety, this would be my last question. After all, we were on a terrestrial's quest that could not be interrupted. 19 months, Dad answered proudly. I guess my guess of his age was wrong. And as the point, I remained silent. But this time, it was I who was transfixed. And it was on Robbie, whose eyes were brighter than the stars we were passing. Maybe it's simply because I've been on the ride many times before, but I believe I was hypnotized by Robbie's discoveries. And I remembered when I was like that, everything new, everything exciting. I remember years ago reacting about how the city of Kissimmee was being transformed by the magic mouse and his father, Walt. I too was captivated by the concept of Disney coming to Florida. And when I got the call to consider Florida for my place of career, I could already feel the magic I was about to encounter somewhere. I lost that magic. One too many Disney parties or visits, too many trips to Orlando, I guess. Whatever it was, something happened to lose the excitement of the parks. I found more excitement by revealing them to others, helping many to tour and experience that same magic for themselves. It was still fun, but not like it used to be. But it was for this little boy next to me, and Robbie's eyes said it all. There was nothing to speak, only wonder to feel. Whatever he looked, something was moving, something was happening, and for him, it was the first time. He had connection with every strange fantasy creature that waved or moved as he passed on to his flying bike. He sat in wonder as his new world flew by him. These new beings that throughout the rest of his life he would know and learn from, lean on for inspiration, find hope, even though his world might be dying from water, or his parents left him, or his planet needed his healing touch. Whatever the tragedy, E.T. would teach him there was hope, and he could help bring it. And in watching that little boy's eyes, I suddenly felt shame, for I had lost that wonder, that sparkle of imagination, that opportunity to rejoice in a new world and its occupants that make life so worth living. And then, we've had too many visits, and the park becomes old. The wife of many years suddenly loses her magic. The excitement of the house when it was bought gets lost in the repairs and cost of upkeep. That new car is no longer new, so we buy another one, and then find ourselves in greater debt, and more despondent on even that job which we had started to take for granted. But not for Robbie. Everything from him was new and exciting. Why are the parks so popular? Why does television and movies have such a hold on us? Because in these instruments of imagination, we can travel where we haven't been. Thanks to IMAX, we can explore the tragedy of the Titanic in 3D, or wander with the Lion King, or find new laughter in our Friends or Seinfeld. And each time we take these trips, in our mind we relax, we laugh, we put away the troubles of the world, away from us for a temporary time, and we learn to lose life again and enjoy it, if only for a few moments. Not for Robbie. Life was new, and he was experiencing it for the first time. And I began to remember what my first time was like all over again. And the excitement of the park returned to me. But not just memory of the park, for Robbie did me a far greater favor than just admiring his intake of amusement. He made me remember what every new day was like, what every experience brought in its first taste, what my first romance brought me, and the importance of my friends, and how as we get older, we start to take them for granted. How grateful I should be for my freedom, almost ignored because I grew up in America, for my God, whom I often forget, is watching over me and loving me in spite of my forgetfulness. And how often I forget my friends and family who have added so much to my life. Thanks to Robbie, the rest of my day at the park no longer was just another visit, but simply, in my change of perspective and attitude, became a vibrant, new, originally exciting experience. Had the park changed? No, but I had. And I owe my thanks to Robbie, who saw life the way we all should see it. Exciting, new, rejoicing in every minute, and hoping to learn something new from everyone and everything we come in contact with. I'm so glad to be able to write, to work, within a healthy body framework, to meet new people every day, and to enjoy the people I already know. What a precious gift to be alive and breathing and learning of life. So when someone calls me on the phone and says, hello, I'm no longer trying to get rid of the conversation so quick as I can, but I ask about their life, about their joys and their sorrows, and about what I can do to help them. I get so carried away one day I even talked to a telemarketer, although I must admit I hope I don't do that again. But every day is like visiting a theme park, like learning about my life and my own responses to life all over again. And every happening is an opportunity to get to know me and those around me for better than I did before. And since my theme park visit, I look at every day as a new opportunity, a new excitement, and I owe it all to the joy and excitement that I saw in Robbie's face, a 19-month-old boy that I'll never forget. I wonder where he is now. Thank you, Robbie. I'll never forget that look of life that you gave me, or the excitement and the appreciation you showed me. I'll never forget you.